Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Fucking mad at me before we even start.
Hey, sometimes you got to weather the storm. I'm glad you showed up with a Chris. Well, first of all, we didn't coordinate this.
Yes, we did coordinate it live on the podcast last week. Said, I wish I wore a Christmas sweater. We said next week we'll do our final episode.
I didn't know that you were wearing a Christmas sweater. I knew that I was going to wear a Christmas sweater. Wow. Did you say that you were going to wear one?
Well, when in Rome.
When in Rome. But I didn't know if you'd remember. You don't remember anything.
That's true. I didn't even remember what time we started today.
I know. Exactly. 1:09. Huh. So we're a day late and $1 short because I'm sick as shit.
Yeah, we had to stop mouth kissing and keep giving it to everybody.
I know. Everyone's mouth kissing. Everyone's sick right now. Somebody asked me, actually, I'm doing another deal. I'm closing another business, buying another business, and we're supposed to have a call yesterday to talk about it. And, I said, hey, I'm not going to make it. I'm sick. And the guy called anyway to verify whatever. And he's like, oh, you're sick. Did you take a COVID test? Is it COVID? I'm like, I don't know. Like, when's the last time you cared about COVID?
Yeah, shit's been done. Word to Tony Kelly.
Yeah, I've already had it 5 times and symptoms once.
I loved having COVID, and I literally thought I was going to die.
Really?
Oh, it was horrible.
I got it the first time. First of all, it was like everybody around me got COVID. I was immune to everything for like a year. Then for Christmas, we went to Tampa to go to the last Bucks game of the season when Tom Brady first went there. Our entire family came back with COVID. Everybody. They don't believe in masks down there.
Oh, no. That's why I went there during COVID for Disney.
Exactly. And I probably should have worn a mask. Maybe I wouldn't have gotten COVID. But we didn't wear masks. We all came home with COVID. We lived. But that was rough. It was I got it kind of bad. And then the other 2 or 3 times I had it, I had 0 symptoms. 2 times I actually got popped. I was supposed to do a test for the UFC, just the standard, like whatever you have to go, test negative. And then I went and they're like, oh yeah, you're positive. I was like, the hell I am. Like, I'm fine. I'm just doing this for, to go somewhere. And they're like, yeah. So anyway, but I've got enough. I feel a little bit better today. And I have enough Sudafed coursing through my veins that you could make meth out of my blood right now. So
we should try it.
We should definitely try it.
You know what? So, I think I post, every week I post like the microphone in my hand and I put some kind of controversial topic. First of all, you guys take the low hanging fruit. There's a reason that we do what we do. We have to think next level on jokes and everything like this. People, I put last week the topic box and people were like, tell us about Pogs. Tell us about this. Like just the most basic, like immature stuff. I always post something interesting. So today I posted, we're going to talk about vegetables, pesticides, and why we should eat more on our vegetables. Every time someone tells me to like wash off the vegetables before I eat it, it makes me want to eat more pesticides.
Oh, yeah.
Please spray more pesticides on it for me. I just want
want all the microplastics. I want all the pesticides. I want all the inorganic fruit. Give me the hormones, give all of it. I get sick. Like I'm sick right now. I get sick like once every 3 years. Like my immune system is a rock. Like all of it.
Load me up.
Give me all of it.
Every time someone tells me not to, it makes me want to do it more.
Yep.
Eat with my hands. Eat off the floor.
Go for it.
Why not? Pesticides.
Paint your nails black. Like everything that people say
that you shouldn't do,
you're going to do.
Okay. I was thinking about this. So Peyton Talbot, I'm like obsessed with dude now.
Yeah. Sounds about right. How did I get sick from you? How did you get sick? Peyton Talbot.
I mean, someone got on live.
Do you have a fishnet jersey on under that?
It's underneath. Yeah. Someone called him Zesty. And he's like, they're like the Zesty King. And he goes,
what's that mean?
He goes, I'm not Zesty. He's like, I'm not more Zesty than Jordan Levitt. Shit was so funny. He's so funny, man. He's just got like you told me a few Peyton Talbot stories, and I'm just like, man, that's just who he is. He doesn't know better. It's just who he is. He's
just doing it,
being a character. So I painted my nails. I was like, let me try this. And I can't get behind this. The neck tattoo that doesn't mean shit. I'm like, no, this one I can stand on.
Yeah.
The nails, I can't wait for the shit to come off quick enough because I'm not doing this again.
They have nail polish remover.
Yeah.
So you could like expedite the process.
No, but I have to ride this one out.
Okay.
I made this choice. I have to see it through.
Well, they match your hat, your sweater, and your soul.
Funny Brazilian anecdote. I asked her, my girlfriend, for this Santa hat, and she goes, I wouldn't wear it with the words facing out. And I was like, why?
Why not?
She goes, I think that's a Jewish thing or something. It says bah humbug. She said, I think it's a Jewish thing.
I've heard it both ways.
I got a lot of flack for that last week. It was a very controversial topic.
Man, I think everything is very controversial these days.
No, that's what I'm saying. I got a lot of flack for the controversial.
Oh man, let's get into this because I don't know if I have the energy. This Sudafed's gonna drop off, and if you see me just like drooling and dozing off, you know I need another hit of my Sudameth.
Okay,
so let's go. What shoes are those?
These are Pumas. Jay-Z's my guy, and he's sponsored by Puma. So I was looking for the OG shoes, but I couldn't find them, so I got these.
As much as I hate most of the shit that is Brandan, I like those.
Thanks. It's from an art school in London. Yeah, very cool.
Do you know the Air Force Ones off-whites?
Yes.
Do you know how much those run on the secondary?
Probably 1,200.
12 to 100 to $5,000. That's insane.
I'm falling victim to these Facebook reels. I barely ever get on Facebook, but every time I get on, for some reason, the algorithm has put me into watches, like the guy just negotiating prices. Watches.
That makes sense.
That makes sense. But then the second thing it puts me in is shoes. Like people go to these big shoe auctions and they're like, give me 6 of these pairs for 80,000. I'm like, people really spend this much money on shoes. I can't believe it. Like one-off shoes. I think they asked some dude, like, what's your most expensive pair of shoes? He's like, oh, I'm wearing them. How much are these? 120,000. Unbelievable.
That's not a wearable accessory. Like 120,000,
and you're wearing them.
Yeah, you're just ruining them. That's insane.
Like watches, I get. Maybe it's just I don't know.
Watches are. Yeah, but like a shoe is going to get dirty again and again and again. Like a watch, if you get your watch dirty again and again and again, you're into some weird shit.
But a shoe is also like so a watch can be solid gold. It can be complicated movements and sapphire on the crystal and so much cool stuff. Shoe is just like literally leather and cloth.
Yeah.
How much better can a shoe get?
I don't know. I'm apparently better.
You just make less of them. Guys, I'm actually offering a 1-of-1 shoe. I will make it, and it's going to start bidding at $80,000.
Okay, I'm in. I'm curious to see the finished product. Man, anything else before we go?
I haven't heard a lot from MMA Guru. Not a lot of shots fired back. That fat fuck.
I was waiting to see the AK-47 open up and
thought we were about to have a turf war.
Yeah.
You don't want it. Bah humbug.
Man, that makes me sad. I love seeing other people involved in stuff.
All right, let's get started.
All right, check out. Hey, last week, man, I did well, even though I hated the card and it was shit. The only thing I got wrong on my picks that I posted was I thought Malarkey Nasprat was going to go over 1.5, 2.5, and it did not. Other than that, I think I was like 8 out of 9, 9 out of 10, whatever it was. So a couple dogs. Muniz I called on there.
He didn't win. Be real. Be real.
I don't give a shit.
No, be real.
It cashed.
That's bullshit.
Cashed.
I thought it was going to be a tough fight for Iron Turtle, but man, that was kind of bullshit.
That was and I actually didn't even watch it, but it cashed. So that's really all I care about.
I mean, they just went against all the scoring criteria. The dude landed 2 punches in the first round, 3 in the third, and then they give it to him after getting elbowed in the skull for minutes. Like it's just
it happens every once in a while.
Yeah.
All right. Before we go, sign up, go to Patreon, buy my book, buy whatever brand I'm selling, do all this stuff. I don't have the energy. That's going to be Kamuela over here, his next job.
Okay.
So we have a website. We need to get merch, some shirts made up, some hats made up, maybe some mugs, but definitely shirts and hats. I definitely want to get one of a Brandan saying never bet a white.
Yeah.
See how many fights that can get you in.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a very controversial thing when I fight because I fought a non-white. And I'm kind of non-white, but
kind of non-white, but people don't know that.
People don't know that.
So perception is reality. So you guys in the comments, let us know any of the dumb shit we say or anything interesting that you think should go on a shirt and a hat for us for our MMA breakdowns.
I honestly think we should just do a solid one with the logo and just.
We will definitely do that, but some other stuff too. Like if there's anything that strikes us,
we should start making MMA Guru merchandise
with MMA Guru with the MMA breakdowns and bets logo on it.
Only come in size XXL.
All right, you guys, we've got UFC 290 something or another. What is this? 296. Edwards and Covington coming up. 14 fights. That's so many fights on the card.
Yeah, we'll cruise.
And there's only 2 women's fights, so there's only 2 that I can opt out of.
Thank God.
I need like 6 women fights, so that really only puts me at 6 fights to tape. Man, before we get going, I'm going to screw up the entire broadcast, everything right now, because I want to share a screen. Kamuela's, you can start going on that, see how badly you screw it up. There's some spread odds on this card that I find interesting, considering one is such a big card, and I think a lot of the fights are a lot closer than we think. I think Andre Fili and Lucas Almeida, that's a wide spread. What are the odds on that, Gabe?
Fili is -175. Almeida's +147.
Okay, so that's actually come down quite a bit since I started looking at stuff. What about Alonzo Menifield and Dustin Jacoby? Jacoby's a big favorite.
Jacoby is -275.
Okay.
Menifield is +220.
Casey Oneil and Ariane Lipski. I thought that was going to be a little bit closer in lines.
I thought Casey would be in the range of like -750 or something like that.
So, yeah. Friend of the show, love Casey. And then we've got some other Josh Emmett and Bryce Mitchell. That was a big spread too.
Interesting.
We've got Tony Ferguson and Paddy Pimblett. Is Paddy's in the -300s?
Yeah, -300. Ferguson's +240.
And then we have Stephen Thompson, Shavkat, Rekmana, Ding Dong is -650. All really big spreads, which we'll get into all of those fights. I just thought it was interesting that we'll talk about this later, but Paddy and Ferguson, look, Ferguson has lost, I think, 6 in a row, but he's hurt. He hurt Bobby Green.
Hurt Chandler.
He's not really being like out. I mean, like he's tough. He's in there. He's
getting out grappled.
He is getting out grappled,
but by Benny and Charles Oliveira.
Yeah, by these really good guys. And then Pimblett's last fight was chin in the air, getting out boxed, left hooked by Jordan. Who?
Jared
Gordon. Dude, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sick. Jared Gordon, who's the smallest 55er I've ever seen. I've stood next to him. And he's bald, exactly. So I don't know how he's supposed to win. Who he is probably only a couple inches taller than you, and he's probably at 5'7". Like I don't get how he's at 155 pounds.
Come on.
Oh, wait a minute. Actually, we got to do a thing. Gabe, can you zoom out really quickly? Yeah, let's zoom out.
What's going on? All right. Let's check this out.
With shoes on.
We got a tape measure.
Stand up straight. Stand up all the way. Here, turn to the side. So with shoes, which are going to add 1.5 inches. Dude, homie, 68 inches. So you're 5'8" with shoes on. So you're probably like... He's 68 inches, so 5'8" with shoes on.
Why are you saying 1.5 inches with shoes?
Yeah, look at those shoes.
These shoes are an inch.
And that was super. Dude, I think you're like 5'6", 5'6.5", maybe
5'7",
5'6 3/4".
Come on,
5'6 7/8". But I don't think you're tipping the line at 7. But anyway,
why don't I just take the shoes off?
Anyway, now we're good. I mean, we have a show. Nobody cares about you. Anyway, I had to see that for my own knowledge.
I can't believe you actually brought this. I hope this was for another reason.
No, actually, it was for another reason. I didn't bring that in for you. I didn't care about your damn size, but I saw it. I'm talking about how short you and Jared Gordon are, and
you're going to need a longer one to measure. Never mind.
All right, Jesus Christ. All right, let's get into this fight with weird odds, and everything's crazy. Randy Brown, Muslim Salikov. Kick it off.
I feel like we say the same things like every time the same fighter fights.
Well, I mean, it's kind of the same fighter, and they do the same things, so we repeat the same things that they do.
Yeah, but like old stories. Actually, you know what's funny is last week, oh my God, this had me dying in the Discord. We had talked about this.
I just need Bilal Muhammad to fight so you can tell us about how you met him, and C-Rod said that this is a guy who bet against you again.
One more time. Yeah. No, it's funny. Actually, you know, I'm proud of us.
Or a D-Rod story.
I'm proud of us. We haven't been saying the same stuff. Song Yudong fought last week. Guess who didn't mention his age? We didn't mention his age.
Oh, are we? Does that mean we're growing?
We're progressing.
We're evolving.
We're getting there. But what's so funny is a guy in the Discord, Fat Piano is his name. We were
what an awesome name.
We were pressing the issue of like the age thing just in the Discord, and he's like, "Do you guys want me to get Song's birth certificate?" He posted the birth certificate like 40 fucking times all throughout the night. I'd be like, let me see the birth certificate. He just posted it with no other words on it. He wasn't like, guys, I'm sick of posting. He just would post it. And then an hour later, someone's like, yeah, he's only 20 or he's like 35. And he'd post the birth certificate again and just keep posting it, or the passport. I mean, just post it. It was hilarious.
I love that. That makes me happy.
Muslim Salikov, love the guy. Great striking, old bastard. Honestly, I feel like I never believe in Randy Brown. I feel like he's not so good, but he's so good at the same time. I mean, he's 6'3", great jab, high volume. I just think youth and athleticism is gonna be his keys to victory here. Salikov is a really, really good striker, very technical, makes a lot of good reads, but he tires out and he slows down come round 2. I don't think he throws enough low kicks to really impact Randy. He's mostly hands. So I like Randy Brown here.
I'm with you. Randy Brown overall is pretty good. He does a good job of using his jab, using his range, and he fights that lead hand really well. He is heavy on that lead leg, but he never really seems to be compromised with calf kicks.
Only in the Worley fight, right? The Alves
Was it?
fight.
Yeah. And he adjusted well. He does a lot of the right stuff. His jiu-jitsu is decent. I like Randy Brown. Salikov, you said it. He does so much well. He just got old, and
he was 10 years younger. I'd be going.
Yeah.
Salikov.
Yep. Salikov. And Salikov to beat Randy Brown, you've got to Jack Della Maddalena him and get inside, box him in the pocket.
Was that my Christmas gift this
Body
year?
head. That's it. That's all you're getting. And if Salikov does that, Brown is going to clinch. That's going to tire Salikov out. And Salikov likes to. He's tired these days, and so he likes to sit back, have a very composed, relaxed fight where it's on his terms. And if he does that with Randy Brown, I think that goes into Randy Brown's game. And then if he goes to try to crowd Randy Brown, he clinches and then he tires himself out. So he's got to look for, kind of that big overhand left early, or else I don't think he's going to land it. So I like Brown in this. Do you think it goes to decision, or is it done before that?
Yeah, I kind of think it does go decision.
Salikov's a tough bastard.
He's a tough bastard.
He doesn't want to die. So, all right, next up, we've got Shamil, Gaziev, and Martin Buday. I'll kick this one off. To me, this is an absolute non-bet nightmare of nonsense. And I'll tell you why. The Gaziev's cardio is shit. He gasses out. But we saw him go the distance in one of his fights against that kickboxer.
Carroll, yeah.
Yeah. And he kept pushing and doing, and he was tired, but he kept going. But Buday tires out as well and really gasses out. Buday is, I think, definitely the better. Gosh, I don't even want to,
He's not a better fighter.
No,
More complete.
better
over 15,
manager
yeah.
of energy is what I was going to say. So he's a better manager of energy. But he really loses round 1 horribly to everybody. And then it's just, he Homer Simpsons them. But they, in the Kelleher fight, Kelleher went through 1,000% at him and then just gassed out. And if he had just sent 500% at him and just saved a little bit left, he wins that fight. And then Buday is not, his offense is so low in round 1. He moves well. He covers well. I do like that.
Tell that to Josh Parisian.
Yeah. And then Gaziev, if that's how you say his name, Gaziev, whatever. He's actually not bad. His striking is not amazing. He's got these low hands and he kind of stands there. But his jab and cross are really good. He fires them fast. There's no load on him. His wrestling is not amazing, but he gets the takedown. He does what he needs to do. And then, this is really going to come down to, can Gaziev finish it in round 1? And if not, who does the better pushing on the fence in round 2 and 3? I think cardio kind of goes to Buday. And then I think Buday in the clinch has those good knees. I legitimately like his knees in the clinch, and he does a lot of good stuff there. And then Gaziev, we saw him get taken down and get his back taken in that Contender Series fight, which worries me a little bit. I kind of lean Buday very, very slightly. But if I were to bet this fight, I would either go Gaziev or pass, just because I think at plus money, I think that's the only smart way to bet it. And I could see Gaziev finishing the fight in round 1. I could also see him winning round 1 and then just pushing enough in round 2 to kind of get the enough. My common sense says, all right, Buday's cardio and activity in round 3 and the rest of round 2. Fuck it. I'm going to go Gaziev on this. I don't know. This is where I'm at. I would say bet Gaziev or pass. I kind of slightly lean Buday for a decision victory.
I think there's only one way to approach this fight, because I wanted, so looking at him, even on the Contender Series fight, someone was like, oh, but he got reversed by Greg Velasco. Greg Velasco he was a college wrestler. He was a fine college wrestler, and he did a college wrestling move and came up on top, right? I think he hit a switch or something
Something like that, yeah.
and came up on top, right? Whatever. And then they're like, man, he was so gassed out. Fine. We've seen him go 15 minutes, and that was the only fight I honestly cared about. His striking in round 1, I think, is amazing. Like you said, he's got a fast one too. He really is a technical, beautiful striker. Now, he did get dropped in that round. And the biggest thing for me is Buday, even against Parisian, he's kind of chin up in the air, swinging wide. And Gaziev, he's so much cleaner and more precise.
I want to interrupt you there just because so I don't lose my thought. Buday does a really good job of like covering and framing and this and that. But sometimes when he walks forward, he walks forward and will punch with his and take 5 punches to the face.
Yeah. But
it's only when he tends to like walk forward and try to march people down in this weird style.
I think this entire card is going to come down to game plans. If Gaziev wrestles, I think that's the worst thing he could possibly do. I really think that's the worst idea he could possibly have, because he got that kickboxer down in what was it, Aries FC.
Yep.
And then he was so tired that he was still kind of working to get him down, but he had zero activity and nothing else. And one thing that I really like that Buday does is he's very good at getting underhooks. Anytime someone shoots, he's boom, right there and up in an underhook. He's a big guy, and I actually think he's a pretty decent he's a pretty good grappler. You can see his big old nasty cauliflower ears. He's put some time in, but he does a lot of the right things and a lot of the right mechanics. Even pre-UFC, I liked a lot of the stuff he did. So if Gaziev wrestles, bad idea.
Horrible idea.
Yeah, because he's going to wear himself out, and then Buday is going to take over, cage push him, take him down, get him. If he strikes, man, that's him all day. I really like his striking here. So for me, the only way to play this is Gaziev round 1 or Buday money line. I think Buday is going to wear him down. I wanted to look at him like, man, he's so fat, but he moves really well for being such a fat guy.
Yeah.
Gaziev's no question the better athlete and moves much, much better.
Now, does it play that this is Gaziev's first UFC fight, and it's in a massive venue with one of the bigger cards of the year, adrenaline?
I don't think that Russians even have souls. It doesn't matter.
But he trains in Bahrain. That's slightly different.
It's the same.
No, I'm with you. I think that's a smart bet is Gaziev round 1. And then if that doesn't happen, you kind of money line it or
I think Buday is going to win this one.
Do you? Yeah, I kind of lean that way, but it's
on the podcast we have to go fat ass white guy.
I know you have to.
You know that dumper's huge.
We always try to pick a winner here, even if it's not necessarily the smartest. But yeah, these guys aren't like there's so much to not like about these guys for what they do well. So all right, moving on.
Where the hell's the eggnog? I thought we were doing eggnog and getting drunk midday.
Yeah. Where is that? If I wasn't sick.
This would have been a way more fun podcast, even a nighttime podcast.
Yeah, eggnog, and he'll drink just the virgin eggnog.
We're paying this guy to be more than just a fluffer.
Andre Fili and Lucas Almeida, go.
This is a good one. I give Fili obviously the grappling advantage, right? He's got really good blast doubles, really good takedowns. Forever Fili swings super, super wide, but I like that he presses, and Almeida is comfortable to play on the back foot. Almeida, high volume. Man, I think this is lined about correctly. I think Fili minus 170 is probably about right. But man, Almeida swings. Like this is gonna be an interesting one. Actually, this card is probably my least favorite to bet this year. I think so many fights.
The fights are great, but the bets are very scary.
Yeah. I don't have much technical analysis on this one. I don't like how Almeida fights off the back foot, which he's done in a lot of fights. And Fili is down to go forward. I give Fili the grappling advantage, but man, I could see Fili getting chinned. Just like the last fight, I think that Almeida's strikes are so much tighter and more precise than Fili's, who's a lot of check hooks and a lot of head kicks and a lot of things that are really wide and take a lot. Man, I don't hate a value bet on Almeida, but I think Fili's going to win here.
Yeah, this is a weird one. Like you said, it's strategy.
How are they using Almeida, right? Because he was kind of brought in as a feeder and then dominated, and then with maybe Trezano, and then they gave him to Sabatini, and I don't know if they thought he was going to win or lose, and he got mauled, and it was horrible.
Yeah, they like Fili. He's been around for a long time. Is this a builder fight for Fili, or is this
he's been built. He's been built and torn down a few times.
And Fili is paid a lot of money. He's got a lot of losses. He does live in Vegas now, and they tend to like the guys who live in Vegas.
He moved.
He's been in Vegas, I think, for a while now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'm gonna go. I'm taking Almeida.
Yeah. So Fili does a couple things really well. So first of all, like you said, his striking is so wide. He fights way better than his technical abilities. And we mention this all the time. I mention it all the time. But just so you guys who are new know what I mean is he sees stuff and he moves and he rocks out and he finds punches. But his actual technical striking, it's loopy and he's a little off balance. His chin's in the air sometimes. It's not structurally what you would expect to see at people at this level. His best punch is not even punch, best strike, I think is, well, he's got good straight lefts on both sides and he switches stances regularly. And whatever leg is back, his power leg, that head kick is really good. He does a good job of setting that up. We saw that with Bill Algeo a few times where he just kept throwing that head kick. Algeo never adjusted. And the thing with Algeo is when he's in orthodox stance, he keeps his right hand high. When he switches to southpaw, which is where Fili kept catching him, that left hand drops low. And so he kept finding that. And Algeo didn't want to switch back and then wouldn't raise that left hand. So it's like, what are you, like, shame on you. If you kick me once, shame on you. If you kick me 700 times, you can kick me again. Yeah. So Fili does that. He shifts stance as well. The other thing he does, I was just talking with Kamuela over here about that, is when he shifts stances, a lot of times he will draw people in to throw on him and he will shift. So if he's orthodox, he will shift stances as he glides to his left. A lot of times people will shift stances and then bounce and throw their power side in the new stance. He check hooks. So he'll be orthodox. As he's shifting stance to southpaw, he will throw that right check hook, and that catches people a lot, which I really like. Just on a technical level, I do like those things that he does. But Almeida keeps his hands really high at all times. They were kind of going on him a little bit with the gas and cardio of Zellhuber. I don't know that his cardio faded horribly. I think Zellhuber just adjusted and started wrestling a lot earlier.
They threw so many punches in that fight.
Yes.
It's crazy.
And then I was watching that back, and I remember Zellhuber looking like losing round 1 and then looking amazing round 2 and 3. But I think he looked good and adjusted well. But I thought Almeida really didn't look horrible in either of those rounds. And then, of course, we've seen him since. Then you look at Fili fighting Nathaniel Wood, who's tiny.
Yeah. And
Nathaniel Wood is catching those hooks, and that's Almeida's best punch. So I kind of lean Almeida on this one. I like a lot of dogs on this card. Look, if Fili wants to wrestle right off the gate, then man, easy path to victory.
Well, he watches the show. Hey, Andre, is that his name? Andre?
Yeah, Andre Fili.
Andre, if you're listening, we know that you are.
Just wrestle. Stay outside, wrestle, and easily win that fight. If you stay in the pocket with Almeida, man, I mean, we saw it's a Trezano thing over again. So, gosh, no, I'm going to go Almeida. Like I'm not certain that he's going to wrestle as much as he should. And I think he could take him down and submit him if he wanted to, but,
will he is the question.
Yeah. And so
in Las Vegas and game planning, not so sure. Okay.
So I lean with the guys that look, if you're with Nixick, you're probably game planning a bit. If you're just doing stuff at the PI and just kind of getting your own work and doing your own thing, you kind of end up just lulling it about. So I lean Almeida here.
All right.
Tagir, I guess I'll say his whole name, Ulan Bekov, Cody Durden. I think we've already seen this fight in a few different forms.
Okay.
With
Explain.
Elliott, without the cardio and the awkwardness. And then on Durden's side, we've seen him with Charles Johnson without the wrestling and the submission skills.
So that sounds like you're leaning towards a Tagir and Bekov pick.
100%. So, we all got Tagir'd. Everyone has to get Tagir'd once in their lifetime, and we all got Tagir'd when he fought Elliott. I watched that back, and he didn't look as bad as I remember him. He just, in hindsight, I mean, we saw what Elliott just did to Sumidarji, and, I think his striking is not amazing. I think Tagir's striking is cleaner than Durden's, who kind of lunges in. I think he's on the outside. The thing with Durden that he does, he blasts at straight right just to try to get on the inside. And when it lands well. But a lot of times he leaves himself open for other stuff. Tagir's wrestling is legitimately really good. Cody Durden's pace is really good in round 1, but he doesn't have the jiu-jitsu that Elliott has. And he doesn't have the submission threat that Elliott has. And Tagir has legitimately good jiu-jitsu.
It was surprising.
It really is. And he's got really good guillotines, and his cardio looked good even at the end of that Elliott fight. And Elliott just pushed that pace. Whereas we've seen Durden do really well in round 1, start to fade in round 2. And then really, if he can't get the takedowns in round 3, he ends up getting hit and he looks a little sloppy. So, I like Tagir money line, and I like Tagir by submission. I could see something coming late in round 2 or round 3 where he's just so high pressure, high pace that he ends up leaving his neck out there, and we end up seeing. And that said, I think Cody Durden has looked just so much better since his debut in the UFC.
He flipped the switch.
Yeah, I really do think he's a lot better. I think that just with the technical wrestling of Tagir, the size of Tagir, the cardio of Tagir, and then the submission threat of Tagir, I like Tagir here.
I hate Tagir going for submissions. See, I rewatched this one and I kind of came out a little bit confused still, but I think I'm generally in the same place as you. Tim Elliott, super awkward, can wrestle his ass off. You're right. He's got the jiu-jitsu, and even striking wise, he was presenting a threat. Durden is a lot more basic, which is not a good thing, not a bad thing. It's just a lot more basic, where Tim is coming from weird angles. Tagir's striking doesn't get enough credit, I think.
Yeah, they were giving him, I was rewatching the Elliott fight, and they're like, oh yeah, he's not really a dangerous striker. He's not a great striker, this and that. And I was like, well, he's not known as some like mean power puncher, but
he was in there with Bruno swinging.
Good, yeah.
He was. Yeah, his punches are clean. He puts them together. Like, he's got a great jab. He's a solid striker. Honestly, offensively, I hate his wrestling. I hate it because he's such a tall flyweight. He relies on a lot of like upper body and trips and just being taller than people and them running out of rope before he does. So offensively, and then he drop steps to shoot his takedowns. I hate his offensive wrestling. His defensive wrestling is much, much better. Like, he does have good hips, which was surprising in the Elliott fight that he went down 3 times in that first round. And he looked frail and he looked weak. So I'm thinking, man, like, Durden is just kind of a bulldog, and he's going to catch him and he's going to get him down. But 2 things. I agree with you. Winning over Nascimento is good because Nascimento's jiu-jitsu is phenomenal. And then even in the Elliott fight, right, he keeps that overhook. He's using his butterfly hook to create the space, and then he's standing up. He's doing a lot of the right things, and he looks good. After round 1, I kind of thought in that fight he was going to fade off and he's going to die, and he actually still put together another good 10 minutes, like you said. Man, what happens to Durden when he can't secure takedowns? That's the thing. Every fight he's had to Charles Johnson, who was really timid and willing to play on the fence, and he could play there for a long time and, would be on all fours and is not presenting anything to him. And actually something you said a long time ago kind of reminds me of this fight. When Joanna Jędrzejczyk was queen of the world, you said, someday she's going to get knocked out. That's how she loses. And we're all like, what are you talking about? Like, and then you always said this, like with Khabib, you're like, the way to beat Khabib is you go take him down. I think it's going to be the same thing with Durden, right? Nobody really tries to take Durden down. Well, what if Tagir gets on top of him? I think it's a very different scenario.
Yeah. We did see Tagir in his last fight. It's against Manus, who's not an amazing wrestler, but he's serviceable. Shot a single leg, lifted up, dragged him out, hit the trip.
Yeah, look good.
Ground and pound him on the way up, found the neck.
Yeah, I like Tagir here. I think by a healthy margin, honestly. The 2 dogs this week, everybody on X is Gaziev and Durden, and I understand it. For me, I'm going the other way on both of those.
Yeah, I get Gaziev a lot more because that's one of those ones that you could see heavyweights are weird and stuff like that.
Just fade Atlanta, all of Atlanta.
Next up, we have Dustin Jacoby, Alonzo Menifield. And these were Kamuela over there. What were these odds again? Do you have them up? You don't have to share the screen or anything, but yeah. What do we got? I think he was Alonzo Menifield is 14-3-1. Dustin Jacoby is 19-7.
Yeah, Menifield is plus 220. Jacoby is minus 275.
Yeah, I find that to be a bit of a bigger spread than I would expect, considering, what what these guys have done. So give me your thoughts on this one. Go first.
I don't even think this is going to be a close competitive fight. Dustin Jacoby manages range so well. Jab, low kick, fight IQ, takedown defense. I love everything that Jacoby does. He consistently steps up to the plate, right? You think he's going to lose Daun Jung, Kennedy, all these big power punchers, Michael Olajaychek, Khalil Roundtree. He constantly performs. His chin is held up. The dude is a great, great fighter, and Menifield always has the gas tank problem. I think if he goes slow and fights a measured pace, he's in some trouble getting picked apart. And I think if he goes full ape, he gets tired and then he gets destroyed later on. So, I mean, I know you think this line is wide. This line is fine for me. I think that Jacoby wins this fight handily.
I think Jacoby wins it, but I think Alonso is pretty. I think he's gotten better. I think he's gotten so much better. His cardio has been a lot better. His management has been a lot better. He's not as wide with his punches. His best strikes are his straight right. And honestly, he has a good jab cross. Like he lands that really well. His wrestling's decent. Like,
maybe against Jimmy Crute, but now he's fighting a guy who can strike.
That's true. And Jimmy Crute has T-Rex arms.
Zero wrestling, apparently.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. Jimmy Crute really. The other thing I was noticing when I was rewatching that, Jimmy Crute's head like extends up past his shoulder like 7 or 8 feet. Like that thing, like I don't even know how it hasn't been hit by an asteroid, let alone like every punch that has ever been thrown at it. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, I do like Jacoby here. I think one thing we've seen with Alonso is, and we saw it with the, I think it was an Oven St. Preux fight when he, all those front kicks right up the middle. We saw those teeps and front kicks and then showing them, which that is really Jacoby's game is, hopefully Jacoby's throwing low kicks again. I think it was his knee. Why was it when he wasn't throwing low kicks against Mirzakhanov? Is that what it was? His knee issue or?
Oh, I don't remember.
Wasn't throwing any low kicks there. And I think the fight before that as well. But yeah, the teeps framing the knees. He really does have good fight IQ. He does a lot of stuff well. I think he's going to pick Menifield apart. But I think Menifield is going to land a lot. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Menifield push the cage wrestling quite a bit, even if he's not trying to get the takedown, but just trying to push him there.
He's going to have to try, but he's going to get tired. Actually, I'm looking at this courtesy of our partners and our sponsors, betonline.ag, minus the DraftKings shirt. The over-under is set at 1.5 rounds, minus 205 for the over. I mean, it's hard to pay juice on an over, but a round and a half for Jacoby, who's going to pick and pull, and I think that's a pretty good line, the over here.
Yeah, I think the over. I think over 1.5 is great, and I think over 2.5 isn't bad either.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how Menifield fights, but Jacoby, I mean, he's been finishing a few lately, but he's not like a massive
He's
finisher.
not a crazy finisher. No, I think this goes to if I had my crystal ball out, my 8 ball, I would say this is going to a decision.
All right.
All right, boys, I'm gonna jump in. I'll help you guys out from here. Next up, we have Casey Oneil. She's a minus 185.
See, this is what I like.
Yes, sir. And we got Lipski plus 155. Let's go.
All right, Casey Oneil, friend of the show, Ariane Lipski. I'm not going to pick a winner in this. Just I don't like picking anybody to win or lose or anything like that who I know well, because it just is bad form. Like I wouldn't want to. I would always say the person that we're friends with is going to win, and then that's not good to.
Hey, before you knew her, I guess you picked Roxanne Modafari over her.
Allegedly,
that's the word on the street.
We'll get to that. So I'm going to explain myself for a second. I will touch base on that. So I don't like picking anyone that we know, because it's like you don't want to bet based off of a personal relationship of me, and then I don't want to say that somebody I know is going to win or lose. Like that's just weird. So I never pick winners or losers. We'll talk on a technical basis a little bit about this, but I did pick Roxanne Modafari over Casey Oneil, and that was because I didn't watch tape. And I didn't know who Casey was. and I said this, I actually told Casey that. And she was like, she actually laughed. I didn't know who she was at the time. I hadn't seen her fight. And I didn't watch tape and was like, oh yeah, I think Roxy's winning this. So anyway, so that's where we're at.
Yeah.
On a technical level, let me just get into this and then you can do whatever. Ariane has looked really good her last few fights. That ATT supplementation and wrestling. ATT's wrestling. I'm really big on. We see all of the good wrestlers down there now. They're doing all of the right stuff. Defensively, they're doing all the right stuff. But Lipski, I think what I noticed the most on her with Gato, and Gato's not an amazing striker, but she's long and serviceable, and she's not horrible, but is that Lipski managed the range so well. Every time Gato would go to throw, Lipski would just glide slightly out of range and then counter back. And that was really nice. And she fires hard. She's mean. Her fundamental kickboxing is really good. She doesn't do a lot of dumb shit. In the clinch, I think she tries to Thai wrestle more, like turn and traditional Thai stuff and move instead of like dirty box and make it ugly. I think her hips are good. She's gotten better at like whizzer kicking. She threw Gato with a whizzer kick. Her defense is pretty good on, if you're not a great wrestler, she's not going to be taken down. Like you're not going to just like hold her and body lock her and hang in hopes that she like falls, and then on the other side of that with Oneil, I think does, first of all, I think she fought her last fight. Who was that against?
Jennifer Maia.
Maia, just wrong. Maia's thing is get on her back foot, let you swing, pull away, and then counter.
It looked in that fight like she had zero game plan.
I don't believe that there was much of a game plan with that. Yeah. And, when Oneil did do Maia, like touch, pull away, and then counter, she did really well. And when she did draw her in, when Maia was going forward, she did well. But then Casey would just go too forward and immediately let Maia get back on her back foot and switch back to what Maia wants to do. Maia loves to trail the cage. She I don't even know if she goes out in the middle of the cage at the start of a fight. She's like Sam Elvey, female version, just like I'm on the cage. This is where I belong. What I like about Oneil is her forward pressure and her aggressiveness. And I think for her to beat Ariane is she can't play the distance game. She's got to blitz and she's got to wrestle. And the wrestling doesn't even matter if she gets the takedown. She needs to shoot, come up, elbow, knee, be physical, get in there and create a dog fight. Don't be on the outside. Don't try to cleanly beat a clean striker who isn't a lifelong wrestler grappler. So she's going to stop that first shot. And Oneil is not a lifelong wrestler. So she needs to shoot, reshoot, get ugly, take the back, grind it out. And I think if Casey makes this a really ugly, dirty fight and is interface going, she can win this.
Casey's a special person. Luckily we got to know her. I think if you locked her in a room with any woman in her weight class in the world and you said only one can come out, I would say it's going to be Casey every time. But I think you're right. So first layer defense for Arnie Lipski. She's got very good hips and she defends well. The only thing that she's doing.
Well, just because you said first layer, the first layer is her distance.
Yes.
She manages that range so well. And that if people are comfortable and try to manage that range with them, they're already behind.
She changed a lot of her style because she used to just swing wild and people would get in underneath her and then she'd be on her back for the whole round. Now, exactly like you said, she measures distance really, really well. And she has that where she can see the shot coming from a mile away. And then she gets the hips good, does a whizzer and her underhook. And the underhook is the key. She's not letting girls pass that. I think really for Casey, it's going to have to be exactly like you said. She's not as technical as Lipski, and she's going to have to make it dirty. One thing she doesn't do as much is make reads. She just fights. She's mean, and she just fights, which is not great against somebody like Lipski, who does make reads and does see things and put things together. I think Casey's going to have to wrestle like swing around her. She's going to shoot in on a double, and I think she has to swing and then get on top, and she's got some of the meanest
or swing and find the back.
Yep. She's got some of the meanest ground and pound I've seen in the women. She's gnarly on top. So, rooting for Casey. Dwayne The Rock Johnson's very high on her. Says that her wrestling's been improving a lot. I hope that she's got a better game plan for this one and maybe a little bit better off the knee injury.
I love Dwayne The Rock's Vegas inside information.
It's such crazy insight. I don't know how much longer we'll have access to him, but yes.
All right, Irene, Aldana, and Carol Rosa. I didn't tape this. You know that. Give me your thoughts.
I want to
go the quick version.
Yeah, I really want to like Rosa. She puts good combinations together when she throws, but she's just so stiff and slow and plodding. And Aldana moves in and out and just so much more athletic. And I really want to like Rosa. I will never hate a Rosa bet. I'm not going to play Aldana at chalk at all, but I think as a winner, Aldana probably wins this fight.
Okay. Josh Emmett, Bryce Mitchell. This one is a short notice fight for Mitchell.
Hold on, we got to step back. I think we skipped one, guys. We got Garbrandt, Kelleher.
Oh, whoa. Garbrandt, Kelleher. Let's go. Kelleher is better, I think, than people give him credit for. Kind of everywhere better than people give him credit for. His striking isn't bad. He's got good power. He's got a good guillotine. He'll take people down. His cardio is not bad. He jumps the guillotine a little bit too much, but he's decent.
He's an ultra vet.
He is an ultra vet. He's the guy that the UFC calls when they need somebody to step up. And he does it. He steps up. He steps up to take the fights that people don't want. He steps up to take the fights that he knows he's probably going to lose. And then he wins enough. And he takes the fights that went like last minute notice. And he wins enough to keep him in there. It's kind of like a Chris Lytle. He wins, he loses, he wins, he loses. Garbrandt, it's always about the chin. It's always about the chin. His wrestling still to this day is phenomenal. His boxing is so good. He manages range well. He's got good power. He's fast. He's athletic. What Garbrandt has to worry about in this fight, I mean, he always has to worry about his chin because Kelleher will swing, and if he gets sloppy, he'll touch it. But really, he's got to worry about mixing in the takedowns and not getting guillotined for his efforts.
Yeah, because he got caught in a tight one against Trevin.
Yes. And so for Cody, though, I don't think he needs to wrestle at all. I think he needs to be very calm like he was in the Trevin fight and just keep it a purely striking battle and leave it at that. I don't think he needs to do much else. And I think that's a pretty simple game plan for him. Touch and move, make Kelleher miss, hit him on the exits, don't get too greedy, and he wins.
I actually think this is going to be a Kelleher fight. And I say that watching this, I recognize how good Cody is. And Rogan in the last fight was like, yeah, Cody looks like a world champion, but he just didn't throw against a guy who notoriously never throws punches either in Trevin Jones. Took him down a few times. But the thing is that Kelleher can grapple. Kelleher can defend takedowns. Kelleher throws up the guillotine. He stands up when he needs to, and then he presses forward with big power, and he does have power. Cody, as of late's been gassing. Like, he's been getting really, really tired. So when you have a guy that's not going to accept the bottom position, that's going to stand up constantly and press forward and put you in danger, that seems like a tough fight for Cody. You have a former world champion against an old guy who's pretty middling as far as his record. Why is this line not a lot wider than it is, right? Especially off a decent, good performance. I like me some Kelleher here.
All right. That'd be a solid upset right there. Like you said, against a former world champ. I'm just looking right now. Gosh, man, it's just wild. All of his losses are just these brutal knockouts, except for Rob Font.
Yeah, horrible.
Wild. Crazy. All right, now we have Josh Emmett and Bryce Mitchell. I think I started on Cody. Start on Bryce and then give me your thoughts, or I can go. It doesn't really matter to me.
I honestly, I just think at the end of the day, Bryce Mitchell is just so much younger and more spry and moves so well. We haven't seen early round Emmett takedown defense tested, right? We saw Topuria in the end of the fight. He got taken down a bunch of times. And honestly, it was just good timing on Topuria's part. But, I would have liked to see how the takedown defense looked round one. But Bryce has really good jiu-jitsu. He has really good timing. He's not afraid to stand in the pocket and throw. Emmett's been so slow and just everything is so much power. Bryce does manage range well. I thought Ige was a much bigger test for Bryce than maybe Emmett will be. I mean, Emmett's 38, every injury in the world, barely makes weight, and Bryce won't quit fighting. I mean, the last fight really, really impressed me. I like Bryce here. I think the younger guy gets it done. Short notice or not, he's not a big guy. Get the tape measure. He's my height, right? He's small. I like Bryce Mitchell here.
Now, I'm curious about a couple of things. There are there's four old guys on this card. We've got Salikov, we've got Emmett, we've got Wonderboy, we've got Listen. Do you think like at some point one of those old guys is going to win?
I don't think so. Maybe this is passing the guard kind of card.
Okay. Technically it's passing of the garb with a B, but whatever. Not to argue semantics. But anyway, so here's my thought on that is one, I think Ige's wrestling is so overrated, it's insane. everybody talks about Ige's wrestling. I think Emmett is 1,000 times better wrestler than what Ige is. Ige's striking, I think he has more weapons these days than Emmett, because once you get some of these guys that once they land that overhand or that hook or whatever, then they just fight for it.
Yeah.
And Emmett's almost all overhand right at this point. It's just like it's almost like Dan Henderson.
He stopped putting his process together, and it's just this.
Yeah, it's just that. But I don't know that he's going to be able to stop. I don't think that he's going to get taken down in round one. I think he's going to be able to stop most of Bryce's wrestling. Bryce is taking, Barboza down, who's hard to take down in some areas, and then hard to take, you see him kind of flop, and then he kind of stays there. Ige is, I am not overly impressed with his wrestling. I really am not. So then it comes down to, can Mitchell beat, if Mitchell doesn't strike with him and he only goes in a kickboxing fight with Emmett, do you think, does he win that? With the age and the limited capacity.
I don't know how comfortable Bryce would be, but I mean, he's pretty game. I think it's competitive.
Oh, you think so?
Possibly.
Okay. Yeah, maybe my view is skewed on this because I'm so low on Ige's wrestling, and that's kind of the standard that everyone I think is using for this.
But look what he's done to everybody. I mean, didn't he do this to Andre Fili? And you're not low on Andre Fili's wrestling.
Well, yeah, no, Andre Fili's wrestling's not bad. His offensive wrestling's not bad because he times it well. But his defensive wrestling's not amazing. And the thing is Bryce Mitchell has one finish in the UFC, and that is a twister early against some guy who's not in the UFC anymore.
That's so funny. Yeah, that's true. Matt Sales. But I mean, he beat Bobby Moffitt, who you know pretty well. Tyler Diamond, who can wrestle his ass off. Edson Barboza, Andre Fili, Dan Ige. I mean, these guys can grapple. A lot of these guys can grapple.
They really can. And I don't know why. I just have this, I know the smart.
And not all of them are 38 off of so many surgeries and weight cuts. And
smart thought is, Bryce Mitchell. But I kind of lean Ige or Emmett on the upset. On
you don't think Topuria took years off dude's life?
I do. I absolutely do. But the other thing too is Emmett is so inconsistent and doesn't fight a lot. And I think him actually fighting more recently, I think is actually going to help him. And he's not fighting a guy who's just going to. Emmett is in wars, man. That dude is in wars. And I don't think this is going to be that type of a fight. It's going to be a grappling, held down situation versus sprawl, get back up and swing.
I just don't like how low volume he is. This is the problem with me. He's just so dependent on overhands and big punches.
I think for this fight, it helps him. I think if he goes high volume, he gives Bryce more opportunity to shoot in and find the takedown. And I think his volume forces Bryce to come to him, and it lets him kind of dictate at the pace that he wants to fight at, because the onus is on Bryce to get the fight to the ground, because Bryce isn't going to be overly threatening with the stand-up.
I just need to see a Bible being held up again. That's all I care about.
So,
all right. Next up, we got the main card. We have Vicente Luque plus 275 against everybody's favorite fighter, Garry Machado at minus 350.
Before we get into this, I want to talk about the audio that Garry released talking to Luque, and people were really offended by that. Did you listen to the audio?
What did he say?
It was like people were up in arms over him releasing a private conversation.
Technically, it's up in arbs.
It could be. It probably is. But I've heard it both ways. People are crazy about this and mad, and everyone's offended and all this stuff. Garry released the audio. He shouldn't have done that. It was private. And then it was like a super respectful conversation with Luque and Garry about hey, I know you're a competitor. I'm a competitor. It's just about fighting for the title. I hope you bring your A game and give me the toughest fight of my life, and I'll bring you the toughest fight as yours, and we'll honor each other that way. It was like the most respectful conversation ever.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. And man, what else? What the hell else do you want? I mean, do you release something like that? I think that shows that public Garry is different than private Garry.
Very different.
And I think that the cameras being on is Colby and Connor, and the cameras being off is.
He's a caricature of himself in public, but in private, he's just like a nice guy.
Absolutely. So anyway, I mean, we've seen Luque. Luque is, he does all of the right stuff. He's been with Henry Hooft forever. He checks all the boxes. The thing that I find troubling now with Luque is his low, he almost spars in there. They don't feel like he's going in there to win and to get it. And he waits, he's reactive. He lets other people kind of dictate what's going on. He even did that with his last fight with Dos Anjos, but he was better at dictating, or better at where Dos Anjos wanted to do it. Dos Anjos pressed, wrestled, pushed on the fence, and Luque was like, okay, I'll see your wrestling and I'll push you and turn you and take you down. And it was kind of a weird fight. I think everybody thought Dos Anjos was going to win that.
Oh, we all thought he was going to mop him up.
Battle in the wrestling department, and he didn't. But those two are older. Dos Anjos isn't what he was years and years and years ago. And Ian Garry, for as much as he gets chinned, and as high as that chin is, it's nowhere near as bad as Paddy Pimblett, and he's been getting better at it. The thing that really gets me about Ian Garry is, gosh, I just wish he's so square with his stance. If he would just narrow that shoulder up, that would protect him so much better and keep him so much further away. But he keeps that right shoulder a little bit more square, and then that takes away his power, and it just leaves him overexposed in those moments. I mean, I absolutely give the jiu-jitsu side to Luque. He was just finishing people. He looks great. But I think the younger, faster guy with the lateral movement is going to cause a lot of problems for Luque. And I think Gary's feints are great. I think he's going to make Luque swing. I think he's going to move laterally off those swings. And I think he's going to get starched, or at least hurt badly, trying to come in and find Garry. And I don't think Garry is going to try to re-wrestle him. I think he's going to try to disengage. And because of that, I think Garry is going to have a nice coming out party against Luque here.
Yeah, I don't think this fight's particularly close. I mean, everybody can hate Ian Garry all they want. Honestly, I only care about money, so it doesn't matter to me. I love watching Ian Garry fight. The dude is so technical and so freaking good. He really is like next level talent. We've been saying that for how long? Like everyone wants to fade him every fight, and he's going to get chinned, and he got this and that.
You said that we've been saying that for how long? And we've been saying that for every fight. And every fight we say, yeah, the chin is up. Yeah, this, that. We know that. But he's getting better, and he's making the improvements, and he's still winning.
The only thing so I'm going to choose Ian Garry, and I don't think it's close. I think it's a blowout. Even his grappling, like back in the Cage Warriors days, he showed good stand-ups. He showed good get-ups. He has an awareness. He can sprawl. He can do everything. And I think he's been leveling up tenfold. It's not even close. He's just been getting that much better. The only thing that really breaks my heart is just like, he was at Sanford at the time, and then he was at Killcliff for so long. Now Henry Hoof's going to be cornering against him. It kind of just breaks my heart. Like Ian Garry and Shavkat came up together and were each other's best training partners, and now Ian Garry's gone and like turning to the dark side. And
was that Ian Garry's choice to leave, or what? How did that happen?
I have no idea, and I don't know if he's still welcome there or not welcome there, or what's going to be the deal after that. But Henry Hoof was so proud of him, and that was his guy. Him and Shavkat, those were his two guys, and now he's cornering against him. The whole thing makes me feel really weird. And if there's anything with his public persona and his private life, I wish he wouldn't do that to the coaches that came up with him and cared about him. Maybe I don't know the whole story. I don't know the whole story clearly, but I don't love that. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
We got Tony Ferguson at plus 240 and Paddy Pimblett minus 300.
Yeah, Kamuela is rushing us here. I said I wanted to rush us, but Kamuela is rushing because he's got to get out of here. Ferguson, Paddy Pimblett. You have the old dinosaur versus the guy whose chin is just so far up in the air, it's stupid. On everything technical, everything, I go to Tony Ferguson.
Technical?
I mean, throughout the years of stuff, like the entirety of his career. Striking, I give to Ferguson. Paddy just swings for the fences, but that chin is in the air, and
it's part of the charm.
Yeah. I mean, it's just bad. Cardio, I give to Ferguson. Paddy kind of gasses. He's hittable. I mean, the only thing that I give to Paddy is youth, and probably strength. And I like it doesn't even make sense to me because, Paddy is just, his striking is so freaking bad. I think he's going to find a way to win it. I think he's just going to get tagged up and like ugliness is going to occur. Ferguson is going to, probably clip him a few times. I think if Paddy would just shoot in, take his back, drag him to the mat and submit him or ground and pound him, I think it's actually probably a better option. I would love to see that. But that chin in the air is a freaking liability, man. Have you ever seen anybody in the UFC at this level with their chin that far in the air?
Conor McGregor.
No way, man. That thing, Conor's chin is like elevated. This chin is a Pez dispenser. Dude's looking backwards over his head. I don't think all of the David Goggins conditioning training is going to help Ferguson. It's never been a cardio issue. It's a technical issue, and an old issue and a crazy issue. So I somehow think Ferguson is going to lose. And I only say that because he just looks so old and bad. It wouldn't surprise me to see him get knocked.
We need to be careful what we say on this podcast, because I have a feeling that Tony Ferguson's going to pull a war machine after his career is over. He's going to find every podcaster, including MMA Guru, who said bad stuff about him, and it's going to be brutal.
Yeah, on site.
Yeah, we're pretty close to California. I mean, we're driving distance.
So give me your thoughts on this. I don't know that there's not much to talk about on a technical level for me, because it's age versus that chin in the air.
He just doesn't defend takedowns very well.
Yeah.
And Patty can wrestle sometimes. Like, it's weird. His wrestling is shit, but also it's just tenacious.
He'll drag people down.
And he drags people down, and then he's just going to get on top and do whatever he wants. Someone said that he's going to probably turn this into a bare knuckle brawl, like how they just clinch and just hockey punch. I kind of believe that. Like, I kind of just see that, like, old frail Tony who's been turning away from punches and not liking to get hit. I can just, I think Patty's going to finish him. I don't know.
I definitely don't think this goes the distance.
Yeah, I don't think Patty's really in any danger here. Tony doesn't throw hard enough to make Patty pay for it. I mean,
we just said he rocked Chandler. He rocked Bobby Green his last fight.
I don't believe it. Patty's eaten some big punches from some big dudes, even pre-UFC. He'll get rocked and on death's door, and he comes back. Like Luigi Vendramini, whatever about him, but he swings hard as hell, way harder than Tony's pitter-pat punches. I just don't believe he can chin Patty. And like you said, technically he's not the greatest in the world, but he finds a way. I think he's been on a very nice supplement program for a little while now, and I don't think this is a competitive fight, really.
Yeah, I don't know if it's competitive. It's just risky. It's just such bad things for me. I see that. I think Patty wins it, but gosh, you think we're talking about, Ian Garry's chin is in the air. It's time to fade. It's just Patty is not a guy that I would bet a lot of money on. If it was anybody else with Ferguson, I might throw more on it. Next up, we have Shavkat, Rakhmonov, and Stephen Thompson. What are the odds on that?
Rakhmonov is minus 650. Thompson plus 460.
Okay.
Huge dog.
Go. I want to hear this.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to how they fight. Shavkat is amazing. I mean, he can do everything well. He really is good, but he does get hit a lot. He does plod forward a lot. And Stephen Thompson is still good. I mean, shown in the Kevin Holland fight, like a lot of these guys, he's still piecing them up. He's still got really great striking. To cover that price, Shavkat has to wrestle, in my opinion. He has to. If he wrestles, I think this is an easy day at the office. I think he can take down anybody in the world that he wants to, submit him, control on the top. He really is that good. But if he comes out trying to prove a point and fight a different game plan, this is going to get really, really scary, because Stephen Thompson manages range so well. And Shavkat's almost predictable when he comes in. He doesn't do a lot different. He comes in with a jab and follows it with a couple punches. He does get rocked. He does get hit. Easy one, I think Shavkat wins, but I don't love the price without knowing his game plan. Has to wrestle, in my opinion.
I'm picking Stephen Thompson for the upset, the biggest upset. I don't even know if there's been a minus 650 to lose in probably a year or two. Shavkat, I love Shavkat. I really do. In this fight, I don't. And I think the big thing is, like, he's undefeated and Stephen Thompson is old, but he hasn't shown these like massive like drops in chin or speed or anything. He definitely doesn't glide in and out as springy and as fast as he used to, because he still, he has that karate bouncy style. So there's that, but he still does it, just not quite as fluidly. And we saw him get hurt with Holland a little bit. It was kind of him running into a punch. He recovered well, and it was a good, solid punch. So I don't think it's necessarily a crazy chin situation. I don't think Shavkat's wrestling is amazing. I think he couldn't take down Alex Oliveira and ended up jumping guillotine because of that. And he found a way to win. Dragging Jeff Neal to the ground was hard. So he ended up taking his back and standing rear naked, choking him. I think him on top is amazing. I think his jiu-jitsu is amazing. I think his submissions are amazing.
How does he get there?
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you look at all the guys Shavkat is fighting, they are re-grappling him on the fence. Whereas Wonderboy is going to disengage. He's not going to play that game. And more so than anything is how does he catch him? And Wonderboy is going to move laterally, blitz him with those 1-2s. I do like Shavkat in the clinch. I like Shavkat a lot. He's very hittable. He plods forward. He marches forward. I really like Wonderboy for the upset here over Shavkat.
It's amazing how many people are like, he's the second coming of Christ, when he looks very human to me. He's very good. He's technically great everywhere, but he looks human to me sometimes. Like, yeah, I don't know, but they think he's the second coming.
Yeah, look at what, so we saw what Wonderboy just did to Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland has an 81-inch reach. Shavkat has a 77-inch reach. So I think that's going to play into Thompson's favor a little bit with the distance and the movement and stuff. Bilal's wrestling and Gilbert's wrestling their shot wrestling, I think, is better than Shavkat's. And I think Shavkat's going to push him to the fence and go, yeah, I like Steven here.
All right.
Next up, we got the champ, Pantoja, -175 versus Royval at +145.
Why does Pantoja always look tired?
He does, but he pushes through.
I don't even mean like fatigued and cardio wise. I mean like sleepy, like he just woke up from a nap and didn't get as much, like he needs to go back to bed.
He got a lot of kids, that's why.
Yeah, it's true. Kids will tire you out.
Dude fucks.
Pantoja is honestly good everywhere. He does get tired and but he pushes through. It's so weird that he does. He always looks tired. It's almost like a Dracus Duplessis or something where he's tired, but then he pushes and he just looks fatigued and keeps going. What I like about Pantoja is his hands are always high. Anytime you throw it, it's funny because they're down and he's like plodding forward when he's punching. But anytime you watch it with Moreno, you watch it with his last few fights, those high kicks come and that hand is there. He's not like, then he also has a chin. So when he does get hit, dude's never even phased. Part of that, I think, is his chin. The other part is his stance. He's always head down, looking up. So he eats most of those punches on his skull. Yeah. His offensive wrestling is phenomenal. His jiu-jitsu is amazing. And his ability to get to the back is just next level. He hits hard. His best strike standing, I think, is his left hook. Such a good left hook. And he throws it. A lot of times he'll finish the combination with it. I love that left hook. I love his ability to mix up everything. When being pressed, he actually does something really weird when he's in these compromising positions. Like somebody gets his back and he just falls to the ground and turns, as opposed to like fighting it and getting head kicked off to break or like these weird things. Like he'll shoot if he's off balance, he'll just pull guard and then he just comes up and re-wrestles. It's like he's not afraid to go in a bad position versus like give them the opportunity to win and do stuff. So the other thing that he does is Royval wiggles so much, and a lot of times Pantoja would take his back. Royval will try to Granby and then turn back in. And a lot of times on most fighters, when that happens, the guy who Granbys and turns in ends up on top. But as Pantoja transitions, he will always wrestle up to the double leg. So he always ends up either back neutral or winning that position, that scramble position, because he comes up on top because he has a superior wrestling pedigree. And then Royval, he's the best in chaos. He needs the chaos. He never stops moving. He's wild. Now, does he do that in a championship fight for 5 rounds? Does he play it safe? And then I don't think the path to victory is Royval playing it safe. But then does he go crazy and open up himself to get hit and to get his back taken and submitted like he has before from somebody like Pantoja? So what is the game plan here? I don't know that either of those are great. Royval, his striking is actually good. He does a lot of stuff really well, and he throws so much that it's hard to catch up to. But we saw it in the last Pantoja fight. He's so long, but he doesn't measure range and stay on the outside. He's rushing so much that he crowds his own space and gets hit while he should be the one on the outside forcing somebody on the inside. I really don't know how Royval wins this. He could absolutely win it by a flying knee, a spinning elbow. guillotine by a million different options, like, because he really is good. He has good jiu-jitsu. He has good submissions.
Yes.
He has good striking. And again, he has good finishes. He has good strikes. He's so reckless that he's open up to so much chaos. I don't think the fight goes the distance. I think I like Pantoja here just by letting Royval do enough stuff to give himself a bad position.
Yeah, man, Royval's looked good lately. He's got the aura about him. He's got the swag about him. Beating Nicolau is a very, very good win. But at the end of the day, I mean, like, Pantoja is that good. His jiu-jitsu, he's one of the few guys that positionally is phenomenal in jiu-jitsu, but also has very good submissions and very good back takes. And he's got a crazy chin. He's game to throw. The dude is sick. You broke down most things really technically. Pantoja's not Nicolau. I really like Pantoja here. That's the guy.
Yeah, I think.
All right, last one. We got the champ, Leon Edwards, minus 165 against Colby Covington plus. Colby Covington was plus 135. Hey, I got to bounce though, guys.
All right,
So
we'll see you. Thank you much.
I'll put this on the main shot, the open shot.
Go do your thing. And then before we get into the main event, the last main event of the year,
Yep.
come check us out on Discord and Patreon and give us your sponsors and send us all your money and all your Christmas gifts.
We'll still have cool stuff, even in the time off, right? When there's no UFC, we'll still be doing some smaller promotions. Risen, they do their New Year's show. There's going to be some EFC, some cage, like there'll be something. We'll have stuff. So
we'll make sure it's worth something.
Yep. You'll like it.
Do you want to go first? You want me to go first? What do you got?
Why don't you go ahead?
Okay. I think the key to this fight for me is Leon's takedown defense and his ability to get back up. And he does something I was watching today. I was watching Colby's last few fights. And first of all, he's so inactive. It's nuts. But I'm looking at his last few fights. I'm like, the Masvidal fight was really telling with how Masvidal stood back up. He would get taken. First of all, he would defend, and he was trying to elbow a lot while Colby was in shooting instead of fighting the hands and fighting the wrist and doing stuff. Then you look a lot of times, Colby is controlling Masvidal's wrist on the cage while he is shooting and then able to lock his hands when he wants instead of Masvidal controlling Colby's wrist. Then Masvidal is not turning, and he kind of almost floats the position on the cage and does just enough and thinks that Colby is going to screw up and then he's going to find his way out. He doesn't have a sense of urgency to get his way out of there. Then when he did get taken down, Colby would lace the outside leg. So he'd put the hook outside and, of course, attack that short choke, which forces Masvidal to bail so he doesn't get choked and kind of go back and forth. And then when he would get up, a lot of times he would just turn. Sorry, I'm getting stuffy right now.
That's okay.
Can you hear? Yeah. So he would turn almost referee's position, which means both hands and feet or hands and knees on the mat. And Colby was able to get a body lock. Okay. So a lot of those things are very telling. Leon, when Usman is shooting on him, he is attacking the near side wrist and not allowing him to control the leg or control his wrist. And he's grabbing the wrist. He even got called for it, grabbing inside of the glove one time because he's grabbing the glove and pushing it. He's always controlling that wrist position, and that is huge. So when you're shooting, he's got a whizzer here, got wrist control, but he doesn't hang out on that whizzer too much. He will circle left and right and create some space to angle off and pivot. When he is kind of, first of all, when he gets taken down, he doesn't fight it so much. On his way down, he pushes off. So there's more space in that transition versus fighting it till you're already down. And now you have to create the space. He knows when he's going. So he starts pushing and sliding out. So he's already ahead of the game when they hit. When he does get up, he is always number one thing. This is key, grabbing the opposite wrist. So he's not going whizzer near side wrist. He's not giving up his back. He will give up his back, but when he does, he fights that opposite wrist right there. And then the way that he handles that leg lace is he's fighting the wrist when he can, but then he wiggles this leg free and does what's called a knee slide in wrestling. Instead of trying to turn and anchor and give up the position, he'll push his opponent's knee or thigh down past below his leg, below his knee, and then he'll knee slide out, and that gives him the position to come up. Other thing is that we saw Masvidal waiting for Colby. And one thing that Leon does so well is he moves laterally, and he will oftentimes open his stance. So he is orthodox versus southpaw or southpaw versus orthodox. And that benefits him when he's trying to circle away from the cage, and he's active. Like he'll throw the uppercut. I don't think he's going to be afraid to be taken down. I think he's been doing that for so long. And we saw in the long layoff after he fought, I think it was Bilal, there's a 2-year layoff, but for Leon fought again, and he worked his wrestling. I don't think he's worried about being taken down. I don't think he's worried about being held on the cage. And so I think his striking is going to open up because he's not going to worry. He's got a huge reach on Colby. And the one thing that Colby does is he blitzes with the overhand left or right. And it doesn't matter the stance. He Belbeats it. He just head down, swings, and that works a lot of times because people back up and he rushes them to the cage. But Leon's lateral movement is so ingrained in the way that he moves that I think Colby is going to swing. Leon is going to glide out laterally and counter, honestly, a lot of the same way I see Ian Garry missing some punches and then countering laterally against Luque. So the only way that I really see Colby winning this is if he can just stay in his face and just punch and really wear on the gas tank of Leon. But I think Leon has a good gas tank, and I don't think he's going to use a lot of his gas tank because I don't think Colby's going to be able to control him and ride him like he was Masvidal and some of the other guys.
Yeah, I totally. So it sounds like you're going with the Leon play here. Yeah, I like Leon a lot here. You do such a good job breaking down all the technical stuff. Honestly, for me, this almost feels like not quite this level, but like Conor's aura before he stepped in the cage and how guys would just kind of melt around him. Colby's been out of the cage for so long. When you were saying his inactive, I didn't know if you meant his fighting or his just fights.
No, during his fights, he's active, but he doesn't fight often.
Very much. He's old. He hasn't fought in a long time. Leon just beat Usman back to back. Say whatever you want about Usman, but Usman just looked great against Hamzat, right? So these Usman's washed allegations are they're pretty much out the window, right? They have to be because he put up such a good fight. Leon's just got the it factor right now. Colby's been out for so long. I think this is just a clear Leon fight here.
Yeah. Well, it's time for me to get some more medicine. My eyes are starting to water. I'm stuffing up. Look at me. Like
I thought you were about to cry.
Yeah, I look like I'm crying. It's been 2 years.
Leon.
Show. I love Leon. And no, like my eyes are watering. I got stuffed up. You guys, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. I don't even know what that is, but I think it's a thing that people celebrate. Happy New Year.
This is the last show ever.
Yeah, this is the last show ever. Do you remember when we did that and people freaked out? When we were like, are you guys the last show? Oh my gosh, people lost it. And then we just had a show and did it like nothing.
Yeah, like nothing. We need to do more of that in the new year. Guys, my New Year's resolution is to fuck with you guys more.
It's to troll more because that's what we need is Brandon trolling more in life. So have a good one. Happy betting. We'll see you guys on the Discord.